So it's got some heavy environmental. It's just really dirty, not properly maintained by the tenant. And their best idea is to put floor drains everywhere, dump it down a floor drain into a tank in the ground.
Did they get permits for this?
No. No, I don't know what to say.
If this environmental company was mean enough, they could go and just report all this to the state. They need to spend another 30 to 40 grand.
Just to figure out the issue?
No, that's just to figure out what environmentally wrong you have there.
All right, Spencer, where are we headed back from right now?
All right, so we're coming back from this property. I'm not gonna give out the address out of respect for the guys that are under contract for it, but they asked me to come out, take a little look at this building that they're under contract for. Man, it's a tough one.
When this was originally built, it was a dairy. So, horse-drawn carriages were in and out of here. This was poured at one point. Now, as toxic as this looks, this is copper plating. It's called copper sulfate.
Yeah.
It's used in chicken feed. They walk cattle through it. It's really not that thick. But it would still have to be removed. Only about $150 a barrel.
Okay. This seems messy. How long have you guys been doing this?
So probably 7 years, 6 years.
The tenants in the back, are those extra tenants you just rented out, or are they?
Yeah, they're renting it for space.
Okay, and they're once a month?
Yeah.
Okay. And who is it? There's a plumber?
There's a plumber here, and then there's I don't know what you call him, aggregate. He does dumpsters.
Oh, okay.
He digs. He does remediation. He works with LSRP.
So they're just parking stuff here for it's basically a paid parking lot.
They're either parking lot or upstairs plumbing. And it gets complicated as we get upstairs.
Oh, so they are renting some space in the building?
They're renting to a plumber, to the aggregate person, and then there's a small apartment here. But it's not rented. It's a family deal.
No problem.
This is the apartment that's built. We'll go in there, but for now we'll go around the outside.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. 2 old bathrooms. Used to be a ladies' room, men's room. They don't work. Pipes froze on the outside and busted, so they're cut off.
Well, I thought you were flicking those in. I was like, ooh, those are oldie.
There was emulsion chemicals here, not for about 10 years as this operation runs, so it got cleared out, used for storage. We put up some gates, try to get some storage out. They're renting friends of theirs.
And you think most of the people that are renting out right now, they would like to stay if they could?
I mean, maybe. They'll be taken down. Many of the walls that existed have been taken down for the last year. So here's the street access. Well, I hope there's street access.
Yeah, because I was thinking, I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. This would be like a really cool apartment.
This is only put up in these walls.
This whole thing's in the apartment?
Yeah, just in the last, they built this in the last couple months.
Is there, so they don't have a CO yet?
No, it's finished. Basically a rectangle space. Yeah, they did what they could out of it.
So somebody came to you and built their apartment here, basically?
It's finished.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did they plan on finishing it or no?
It depends on what we all do together as a team.
Got it.
Yes, the plan was to make it more long-term, but...
And did any of this get approved by the city, or was it just like, let's just do something?
I don't know. Did they get permits for this?
No.
Go ahead.
I don't know what to say.
The plumber's tight with the inspector. He came up, he was like, it's family, it's not gonna be a big deal.
The problem is how bad your environmental is, they won't allow residential.
You don't want to dig.
Yeah. 2-story industrial in an interesting market where you really got to know that market, and the building used to do some printing inside of it. And printing, so you might as well just had a dry cleaner site in there. So it's got some heavy environmental. It's just really dirty, not properly maintained by the tenant.
When you say like environmental and dirty, like what do you mean by that?
Like the way they disposed of any of their chemicals inside, they just did it. And I call it the lazy fashion because, people always say, the older generation might say, hey, that wasn't a thing back when I was, and I'm like, it most certainly was. Basically, These guys are using these harsh metals and these harsh chemicals, and their best idea is to put floor drains everywhere, dump it down a floor drain into a tank in the ground, and since, the 70s or 80s, and then in the 2012 era, finally go like, oh, we think it might be leaking. Like, nobody has monitored that. I always just go like, don't you want to take care of your space and be proud of like what your operation and be able to pass it down? But when you just destroy and not properly take care of it, don't expect to get top dollar. I wouldn't be surprised if this building we walk through, the environmental costs more than the building. And then if that's the case, that guy will never sell it.
There's a city issue. We're trying to push the city too. So storm drains blocked up. They replaced a small section. It's not sufficient. It rained heavy yesterday. Flood waters come up to here and in from the street, and then they subside. So it's not completely blocked, but there's storm drain issues.
And you guys file a claim against the city for all the repairs?
I mean, we talked to them. We probably haven't pressed as hard as we could to get them to fix it. We probably could get it done a little quicker.
Yeah, but you could do a nice trade-off for the sprinklers and all that.
Potentially.
What do you think they're looking at there in terms of,
I don't know. Environmental-wise cost?
like how much, I guess how much would you say you should be expecting to put in that conversation we had towards the end? How much should they expect you have to put in the building to get
I don't know. I really don't know. Basically, the sheets we had from the environmental company had numbers like in the 35 grand and then the 150, then 200 grand, and it was kind of all over the place. I think they were looking at about 35 grand just to figure out what they need to do in order to remediate the property. And then I think I saw some email where it's like it could be 180, 200 grand to do it. I'm just not sure. The numbers are all over the place. What you really need is a consultant to go in there and tell you, here's what you have, here's what I've learned in the past, here's probably what you're looking at. But just by the sheets they showed me, they need to spend another 30 to 40 grand to figure out what the problem is there.
That's just the environmental stuff and just to figure out the issue?
No, that's just to figure out what environmentally wrong you have there. That's why they were like, it was like 15 grand for temporary wells. Not the end of the world, but that's just for them to start plotting together exactly where they call it what's called a plume. So basically you want to figure out where that plume comes from. So is it in this spot of the hat? That's why when I looked at it, I was like, how come you didn't do any interior temporary wells or ground samples or water samples? They just did an exterior, which was really weird.
Skylights throughout. You'll see them on the second floor. Some are covered, some are still open. They built a second floor for some administrative work, maybe 30 years ago, 40, maybe even more. That roof is in really bad shape.
Yeah, they never connect to your flashing. That means it's probably all bubbled up. Yeah, that sucks. This roof would have still been good if someone put flashing all through this edge. All right.
And you'll see there's some leaking in the front.
Yeah.
Then go to the second floor.
This is the apartment?
No, that was a storage room built up. Storage room built up for old film. It's empty now.
Okay.
It's no good.
It's just nothing in there. It's just done.
Yeah, so they probably, I think did they use a skylight to access that?
Is this a concrete roof?
Oh, yeah. The architect. How did they think it was in the air? A skylight.
Yeah, you guys know how to pick out the good ones.
There was a skylight there. There was a skylight there that they just built a house around. Put stairs up and put some storage. It's concrete.
Yeah.
So we don't know this for sure, but we think that it's probably able to be built up by 2 more stories.
Yeah.
You guys would figure that out.
Yep, you got, yeah, you could definitely have some fun here. But you can't get in it. They haven't done anything interior. I guess they're trying to see if it went out from the building. But yeah, you're basically looking at that amount if you're gonna use them to figure out where your source is coming from, right? Where is it going? Is it the source coming from that giant tank they had in there with all the floating chemicals, or the separator they had that was separating the metals from going into the water? If you could figure out where the hot zone is in there, then that's where you're gonna test. And then from there, you can figure out where the plume's gone and done all that. And they had some geoteching stuff in there as well, but it'll be pretty interesting.
Let's say they're able to get all that done. What kind of tenants do you think would fit a space like that?
I have no clue. I mean, that big ramp drive up is really cool.
Yeah, that was cool.
But I'm just not sure. It's an interesting site. The really cool thing about that property that actually gives it some equity and value is that parking lot, gated in parking lot they have. So you actually get a parking lot and a gated area. If the tenant doesn't need it, then you can always lease it out. But all the other buildings around, that's why we drove around a little bit, don't have that. So your price per square foot, you can almost get a little bit more because you're getting an enclosed and fenced in area for your employees to park, for trucks to come in, for you to store outside stuff for your operation. So that wise, not bad.
And then last question, I don't know if we can discuss this on camera, but if you had to try to give a number, like just to get that place to a place where you could get somebody new in there, you buy it.
I think to get that building back in shape, if you didn't have to do sprinklers, if you didn't have to do, let's say you had to do no environmental, right? Or let's say if you did, but the seller was going to take on the responsibility.
Do you know where the sprinkler stops?
The only area that's an unconnected sprinkler is this second story. The architect and the city were having a fight about whether it needed to be sprinkled or not.
But where does it end? Where does the line end?
It was never connected.
I know, so where's the end of the pipe?
Probably down here. I don't know.
Maybe, it's gotta be right here in this area.
Whether the building needed to be sprinkled.
Because of the grandfather law?
No, mainly because of the new addition. The architect won.
Okay.
And we didn't have to sprinkle the building.
So why wouldn't they let you have a tenant up here then?
When the church wanted to rent the
The
space.
church wanted to rent it.
Because they needed a separate CO.
And at that point, they had budgeted for the upstairs to be sprinkled. I wasn't real happy about having a church here, okay?
Yeah. Sorry, it's tough to evict a church. Yeah. Paint the outside, paint the inside, do the new roof, clean up an area. I think you're at like $1 million, a little over $1 million, maybe $1.2 million, $1 million, anywhere from like $1.2 million to $1.5 million.
And then with all the environmental stuff?
I don't know. I don't know what that environmental is. I just know it's going to be a lot.
Yeah.
That's without sprinklers, though. You have to do sprinklers. It's going to be a lot more.